Councillors, ladies and gentlemen, tonight is a very special occasion as the members of the 58th Battalion present to Council the restored Book of Remembrance. The book contains the names of the officers of the 58th Battalion of the Australian Imperial Force who died in France during the First World War. This book was on loan to the Essendon Historical Society and was unfortunately damaged in the fire at the Courthouse Museum in June 2016. It was salvaged from the building the day after the fire, suffering major water damage as well as some damage for scoring and soot. It has been restored by a conservation team at the Grimward Centre of Melbourne University, and tonight is now being presented back to Council, where it will remain in our care. I would also like to welcome Lieutenant Don Blanksby, President of the 58th Battalion 32nd Infantry Battalion Association, to tell us more about the history of the Book of Remembrance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, councillors, distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen. Tonight it gives me great pleasure to make this presentation on behalf of the 58th 32nd Battalion of our Battalion Book of Remembrance to the City of Moonee Valley. This Book of Remembrance contains the name of 30 officers and 585 non-commissioned officers and men of the 58th Battalion Australian Imperial Force who died for Australia in France during the Great War 1914 to 1918. He was originally commissioned and presented to our old battalion by Councillor William Royal, JP, of Essendon City Council on the 11th of November 1935. William Royal was a councillor for over 20 years and also served as mayor. There are 91 pages in the book made of vellum, that's either quality goat skin or sheepskin, with all names handwritten in Indian ink by Mr. L.G. Darcy, using an Old English style font. The cover is black leather with gold letters stamped in the outer cover. The book was bound by P.C. Harris, whose family still operates a bookbinding business in Brunswick today. Amongst the names of the officers and men of the battalion who died during World War I are names like Ablett, Lockwood, Lovett, Madden, Plant, Rogers, Rollins and Westgarth, who are related to members of our current association or are linked with this community. This Book of Remembrance was on display in its brass case at the old drill hall further up the street, and from 1967 displayed in the foyer of the brick building called Menin Barracks. The book was treated with the utmost respect and reverence by the Citizens Military Forces and Army Reserve soldiers who have paraded and trained in those barracks. Traditionally, soldiers of the 58th Battalion and later the 1st Battalion, the Royal Victoria Regiment, would use white gloves to turn the page before commencing their training parade so that a different page was displayed each week. The book was a constant reminder to soldiers of our battalion of the deeds of the men of the 58th Battalion Australian Imperial Force who gave their lives for Australia in France during World War I. During an Army Reserve reorganisation, ownership of this book was transferred to our association, who repaired the brass display case and also paid to repair the book binding. From 2014, the book was then on loan to the Essendon Historical Society and was displayed in their Courthouse Museum until the building caught fire in 2016. Fortunately, the Book of Remembrance was saved. It did not burn, it was inside the locked brass case. However, it did suffer some heat, smoke and water damage, causing the vellum pages to curl and the Indian ink to run and smear. Quick action saw this priceless book handed to the Victorian Public Records Office to see if it could be repaired. The Melbourne University Grimwade Centre team of paper conservators saved this book by freezing the pages. to stop the pages going mushy and to stop the ink running. Then drying them page by page, stretching the pages back into shape, then reassembling and binding the book. This book survived the fire and, just like a fiery phoenix, has been fully restored at great expense, luckily by insurance, and we thank the Prov for their exceptional professional restoration work where you cannot identify any damage to it at all. An amazing job. Today we are presenting the book to the City of Moonee Valley. It will be displayed in Memorabilia Corner outside the Council Chamber, besides the Queen's and regimental colours of the 58th Battalion and the 1st Battalion, the Royal Victoria Regiment. I ask you to look at those and consider the battle honours that are listed on those, that those battalions won in World War I and also World War II for the Royal Victoria Regiment. From time to time, descendants of the men of the 58th Battalion and some citizens of Moonee Valley may wish to visit their relatives' names in the book. Our association, being the owner, was privileged as custodian to care for the book and the brass cabinet. Tonight, we are privileged to present the Book of Remembrance into the care of the City of Moonee Valley as a long-term loan. Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll just be unveiling the book now.